Good morning, everybody. I want to talk about the 10 plagues but this morning I just talked about something very interesting. That sometime from difficulties you have the best things that can happen to you. Because if Pharaoh would let Am Yisrael go out of Egypt after 1-2 plagues, we would miss the whole purpose of what Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to do. That of course is everything from this plan to teach Am Yisrael who God is in the whole world. That He is one, only one, there is nothing else, and He looks after each one of us privately, Ashgacha Pratit. And this is only through those 10 plagues. 10 plagues, there had to be 10 plagues against the 10 commandments, the 10 Sfirot, the 10 Ma'amarot Shnivra, that the world was created, and so on. And if Pharaoh would have sent Am Yisrael, it wouldn't happen. And Kadosh Baruch Hu told it to Moshe Rabbeinu from the beginning. You have to understand, it's not going to be easy. He's not going to let Am Yisrael go. Only when, we all know, Makat Bechorot, that was the Makat, that was the plague that got Am Yisrael out of Egypt. I wanted to talk about the plague of darkness and on the last plague, and another interesting thing, the sacrifice of Pesach that they had to bring right in the last minutes. What is the whole idea? But this morning something happened and I have to put it in. I was sitting in shul, in synagogue, and somebody came and sat behind me. And a few minutes later, somebody who normally sits on the seat, it's his seat in the shul, he came and he moved him. And I heard, like I say, he said, I don't want to move. He says, my talis and tefillin are here, and you can move one seat. It's not, nothing is going to happen. And he says, I don't want to move. And eventually he moved. And then somebody else came to the place that he moved to and disturbed him. So he then approached the other guy and says, you see how you behave? This is derech eretz. This is not a way that you should behave. You shouldn't move me from the place that I was sitting on. And this was a very interesting argument that suddenly it reminded me something that happened to me a few years ago when I came to an exhibition in Germany, in Cologne, which, by the way, every time I get there, I'm giving a shiur also to some Israelis there, and I'm sending them a Torah every Motzei Shabbos. Anyway, I came to shul early, and I sat in a place, and an old man comes in, and he just said, move from this place. Now, you have to understand, the synagogue is half empty. There are maybe 12 people at all, and just so many places to sit. But he had to sit on where I was sitting and moved me. So I just, okay. I moved and I sat in another place, and I thought to myself inside, what a difficult man, what a behavior. You have a visitor comes from Eretz Israel, and you send him, you tell him to get another place. You move him from the place that he's sitting. And when I came back to Israel, we have a shiur of Daf Yomi for more than 20 years. And I have a place where I sit normally. And I come, and somebody's sitting on my seat. And suddenly I felt this feeling. And I understood this old guy. You see, when we get older, we are more difficult than normal. We like the place that we sit. We don't want to move. And by the way, the halacha says that you should have a special seat where you sit always and daven and pray to God, because it makes you, let's say, gives you a good, let's say, environment, a good feeling. That is a steady feeling. This is my seat. Here I speak to God. And the halacha says that you should have it. But of course, if somebody sits on your seat, you don't move it. But sometimes you don't understand what's behind it. So here, I suddenly understood this old guy. This is his seat. And in his age, like he felt, I cannot daven in and start a different place. So I should have understand it and moved to another place, especially when there were so many places there. And God taught me this lesson when I came back. And He showed me, well, how do you feel? And you know, sometimes you come to shul, you a little late, somebody sits on your seat. And you have this feeling. But of course, I don't move nobody. I have the feeling. And then, I'm coming back to the story that happened to us this morning. One of them is like the guy. You have to understand what is involved. Because understand why did it happen. Because I see the guy that sits behind me. A lot of times, somebody sits on the seat and he just takes his talis and tefillin from the place that is there, and he moves to another seat. Nothing happens. But this morning, something happened to him. Maybe he got tired of every time coming. When he comes to shul, somebody sits on his seat, or he had a bad morning. I don't know what. From the other side, the other guy, he shouldn't behave like he behaved. Okay, it's not your seat. You said, okay, it's wrong, but you shouldn't tell to him derech eretz and start shouting. But let's go back to this guy. And for a few days, I see that every time when he sits at this place, somebody moves him. And he moves. So this is the reason he sat behind me, which is in the back of the shul. So he thought that there nobody's going to move him. And now this guy comes and moves him. Something ticks in him. And I learned a big lesson, because in our shul, you see, our shul started from this same thing. When we came to Ra'anana, where we live, we used to go to a different shul. I'm not going to say names. And because we didn't have a shul, we didn't have a synagogue. So there, every time, people moved us. This is my place, my place. This is here, I sit, I sit. So we decided that we're going to start our own minyan, and we started in a school. And then when we built the shul, Baruch Hashem, one of the decisions was that we never ever move somebody who sits on the seat. If we come a little late and somebody sits on our seat, we don't move him. And Baruch Hashem, it's working. And in our shul, we have all kinds of people coming and davening, and everybody feels good, and it's a good feeling. And this is exactly what was going on inside me. And of course, I didn't say anything, because there was no way that I would do things better. The best thing in this case was quiet. But he taught me a lesson and reminded me the proper behavior. And this is what God sometimes, he brings, and am I sure that the guy who moved and the other guy, they both don't feel so good now after what they did. But this is a lesson. This is a big lesson. You see, for example, we talk about Makat Choshech. What is Makat Choshech? Makat, darkness. What is this darkness? They say it was dark for the Egyptian, for the Jews there was light. And one of the explanation is that the Makat Choshech, the darkness plague, was really a big light. It was the Organus, the light that God created the world. And it's a such high level of purity and holiness that only if you're close to God, you can see this light. Otherwise, you are blinded. It's dark for you. For example, when you go on a dark road in the middle of the night, no lights, and suddenly a truck comes in front of you with big lights, high lights. Do you see anything? Do you see? Nothing. But you saw a lot of light, yes. But the lot of light is making you dark. You cannot see anything in this light. It's like our neighbor a week ago put 2 projectors outside that are going right directly to the entrance, to the parking. And when you come at night, it projects on yours. It blinds you. It blinds you with a bright light. I told him he changed it, whatever. But you see, that's exactly the point. Sometimes light doesn't let you see, and on the contrary, it becomes darkness. And this is exactly what this Makat Choshech was. And in this Makat Choshech, God also, unfortunately, killed all those who didn't want to go out of Egypt and stayed idol worshippers. So in order that the Egyptian would not see what's happening, he brought this darkness plague, which is also showing that God controls everything. God controls even their gods, the idols that they were where they were worshipping the sun, the moon, and all those other things. So he showed them, I control the darkness and the day and the sun. Here you see, you have darkness for 7 days, 3 and another 3, whatever. And darkness is also when you don't see your friend. And this is one of the interesting things. You see, holiness, together, all those things are connected. When you are blinded by your ego, you don't see your friend. From this is Vayamesh Choshech. So that there was at the beginning it was a normal darkness, but then it became a darkness that you can feel. You can. It says Vayamesh Choshech. And even the Midrash said he couldn't move. If you were sitting, you couldn't get up. You were standing, you couldn't sit. It was like something is holding you. The darkness was something really not just dark, but something physical. Anyway, the idea says, one of the Midrashim says that it was in a thickness of a dinar, of a coin. This is called dinar. And what does it mean? So I saw a beautiful explanation. It says, what is a coin? It's money. Sometimes when we see money, we are blinded and we don't see our friend from 1 meter. We don't see nobody. That's darkness. That's the idea of darkness. So when we combine all those things together, we have a beautiful idea about what was darkness all about. Darkness was to show us what is light and what is dark. When you go in the way of idol worshippers, you leave God. For you, you are in the dark. At the same time, those who go in the way of God, for them it's light. It's a beautiful light. And understanding that sometimes our ego makes us blind. This is the darkness plague. Makes us blind to see the others, which is the worst thing that can happen. Because we have to understand the basic of everything is Am Yisrael together. Each one of us with his own abilities, with his own potential, taking everything together to be as one. And this is the way to get out from shi'abud legeula, from slavery to freedom, slavery to the idols, slavery to the darkness, slavery to our ego, slavery to all the temptation of the physical, materialistic life. You want to go out? You have to believe in God. Go in the way of God. And the way of God is love. To love each other. Stop spreading hatred. And if you see somebody sits on your seat, if it's a synagogue, you let him sit. If somebody asks you something in the middle of the street, you help. If somebody goes, like we have this all the time, I always say that the best place to work on our behavior, on our midot, is the road. You go on the road, if you go through the day without shouting and getting angry, you are a saint. You go on the road, this is coming from here, the one for here, one for here, and you have to think. And this is another thing I want to say. I was going in a traffic jam, and somebody pushed himself, like he went through the whole thing, and he pushed himself in, and I, from one moment, I said, I'm going to press the gas and go. And then I said, oh, let him go in. And something amazing happened. I let him go in. And a few minutes later, somebody wanted to go and in front of him. And you know what he did? He pressed no. He let him go in. So when you do good, you are also giving a good influence to the others. And in other words, maybe to change the atmosphere which we are living now, this hatred that goes around us, is to show a nice face. We show love. We show the nice way, the way of God. That's the basic of the whole thing. And maybe when we show love to others, כמים הפנים לפנים, כן רוח, כן לב האדם מלב האדם. It says, when you look at the water, you smile, you see a smile. You look in the mirror, you smile, you see a smile. You have an angry face, you see an angry face in front of you. That's the same way. When you look to your friend and smile to him and show him a good face, he is also going to smile to you. When you are really making the others in your good behavior become better people and behave differently. As I said, the story in the shul today, in the synagogue. If the other was smiling and saying, let me just take my tefillin and that, and it's okay, please. I'm sure, you know what the other guy would have done? No, please, it's your seat. Sit here, I'm going to move. But instead, this is what happened. And this is a lesson for us. And this is maybe one of the lessons of Makat Choshech. So Bezrat Hashem, Let us get out of our ego and practice ואהבת לרעך כמוך, and go in the way of God, and leave all those idols, and בעזרת השם נצא משעבוד לגאולה.